Hello and welcome to Downtime Podcast with Jeremy and Alyssa. Today is another day that it is Downtime Podcast. Our rebranding's coming soon. We'll talk about it. How's it going, Alyssa? How are you?
It's coming soon.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta. That's the news. It's coming soon.
We've been saying that since the beginning of, or the end of last year. But honestly, it's just because we've been busy, right? We've been busy doing things. Life is busy for both of us. As you can tell, we're not a weekly podcast anymore. We're more of like a whenever we can. And that's kind of the beauty of it.
Yes, definitely. And the last time we talked, I told you that I was traveling all over and I was taking time off, go on vacation and do all these things. And since we last talked, I'm still doing that, Jeremy. Yeah. I'm going to a lot of places That's great. Now. And also, I'm on a high because the Warriors won the NBA championship for 2022 last Thursday. Yes. And I went to the parade with my best friend and my boyfriend, and it was a wonderful time. And also, it was good vibes all around. All of the players were super happy, super drunk, and faded, and just that it was such a good crowd because it wasn't a riotous crowd. It was the type of crowd where you had the perfect number of people where it was packed but no one was pushing each other, so everyone's at least synergy was just positive and everyone was dancing and it was a good time. And yeah, I'm coming up from a big high of the Warriors winning the NBA championship for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. I was following the finals as well, and was super happy when they won. I watched all the games and was super happy that this all paid off. And I'm happy to hear that you went to the parade because
It took a lot to go to that parade, but I made it. I made it.
Did you take
That's all
Bart?
that matters. I did take Bart. It was the easiest thing to do. So what I did was I took Bart. The parade started at Embarcadero Station, which geographically is the station that's closest to the coast or the ferry building of San Francisco. And the secret was to get off of a BART station that was away from that. And if you get off somewhere else like Powell or Civic Center, it's like smooth sailing. Yeah. It's like one of those like tricks to crowds. It's like everyone only goes through one door, but everyone forgets about the other door.
Yeah.
So, that's exactly what happened.
I see.
Yeah, and it was like, I had smooth sailing getting in and out of San Francisco. It was like not even a big deal.
That's great.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I went back to Florida. Okay. And actually, did I even talk about my first Florida trip?
No. I don't remember.
Okay. Well, this is news. I may have told you, but I didn't tell the podcast then. So my first Florida trip, I went for a business trip. And now that it's happened, I went to Florida a second time, and I can finally reveal that there is a roller coaster in Disney World Epcot, which is called the Cosmic Rewind. And it's a roller coaster from the Guardians of the Galaxy lore. And my company worked on that roller coaster, and it's officially open as of Memorial Day, and anyone can ride it.
Hey, that's so cool. Like something you worked on. Like part of your legacy is a ride that's probably going to be there for like years, right? And that's amazing.
I know. The Cosmic Rewind roller coaster is similar to that of Space Mountain, where it's an indoor roller coaster that's in space. More graphics though, because it's because it's Guardians of the Galaxy. Right. So it's a lot more colorful than Space Mountain. Because Space Mountain's just space and a planet here or there.
Right.
They rebranded it, I think, to be Star Wars related, but I don't even know what's there that's Star Wars related.
Got it.
But yeah, so I've been to Florida again. I've been all over the place, like just traveling, and then also I don't even know if the last time we talked I was in Hawaii, but I was also in Hawaii on vacation again. And yeah, I've like Jeremy and I have been traveling because we finally can.
Yep.
and it's been honestly like really relaxing and wonderful, and I'm just taking full advantage of it, and it's just really cool because it's like finally I'm using my Switch for what it was meant for traveling
Mm-hmm.
and being out and about and just taking my Switch around, because now I don't commute that much into the office, which is the original intention of my Switch. But now that I'm out and about going to different places, I can take my Switch around, which is exactly what I wanted in the first place. And so it's like now I feel like my life now is functioning as it should be
Right.
for the last 2 years,
Right.
and I'm really excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that because like it's been a rough year for everybody, right? And just getting away from it all is just a simple pleasure that we can all enjoy.
Yeah. Like my motto for 22, especially because this is the year that we turned 30, was I needed to take advantage of my life and just any opportunity to just seize it, because you never know when we're going to be in another pandemic and another disease comes up. So I've just been taking full advantage of everything and just trying to live my best life. And Jeremy, we talked about this. am not sleeping a lot because now I kind of stay up to watch TV, or I stay up to play this, or I stay up to play The Sims, or I stay up to play Deathloop, and I'm just like, oh my god,
Story of my life, Alyssa. I'm in the same boat. I just stay up because like I'm playing games or like
that's
something else I'll be talking about later. But like I got you. I feel you.
Like I am not sleeping, and that's the thing I definitely need to work on. But yeah, I'm not letting work bring me down.
That's good. Yeah, I'm exactly in the same boat as you. It seems like our personal and work lives are kind of reflective of each other, which is interesting to think about.
Always.
Right. And for me, I've also been traveling. I don't know if I talked about going to Hawaii for an anime convention last April, which was a lot of fun. That was cool. Made some new friends. Found out that they also stream and play the same games that I do. So we ended up like syncing up and spending a whole Saturday playing the same games together, and that was super cool. And then I have plans to go to Santa Cruz. I'm going back to Hawaii in September for like a late summer kind of just trip with my buddy because he is changing careers, and I probably won't see him for a few years. And so we're trying to do something together and do a trip together because I haven't really traveled with him as much, and it'd be nice to just like go on a plane with him somewhere away from California, somewhere nice and tropical. And Hawaii is always a good place to visit and hang out at.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and last podcast I talked about moving. I was in the process of it, or at least thinking about it. But in that time, we had secured a spot. We got it really quickly. It was nice because the people that are looking for renters, like the agency that we booked it through, like it seems like a lot of people in San Francisco in general that have properties are just looking for something simple. They're not looking for people who have kids. They're not looking for large families. And so my brother and I, we kind of qualify for that, for just, being two brothers who are pretty clean and we're pretty quiet. So my brother was like, I have good vibe. I have a good feeling about this. Like, I think our vibe's going to be good because we're easy to manage. And I was like, all right, cool. And turns out he was right, which is great because
you made it.
We did
you
it.
Made it.
And
we're
all moved in. It's great. It's a nice little spot. And there's a couple bars nearby that I've been hitting up so I can watch the Warriors games.
Hey.
Warriors games, and that's been super chill.
What a great year to be a Warriors
Honestly,
fan.
yeah. I wanted to ask, like, in the parade, you saw like the buses or floats or whatever, right, that went by, and were all
Correct.
the team members there, or was there anybody missing? Okay.
Yes. The way that it worked was every player that was signed by the season was there, and it was 2 to 3 people per bus. So what they would do is they would take a player that was, one of the well-known players, such as Steph Curry, and they'll be paired with a lesser-known player such as Damian Lee. And the pairings would be in that manner, and just so that like the popular person was also paired up with someone, and everyone would get their cheers.
Right.
And
that makes sense.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the Warriors. I don't know if anyone's been paying attention to the Warriors, but this has honestly been one of my favorite years as a Warriors fan, because after we won, the whole team decided to clap back at anyone who's ever wronged
Right.
Everyone is saying this is the pettiest the Warriors have ever been in their entire lives, because the Warriors, and especially if you follow Steph Curry very much is known to be the quiet guy who he just works quietly. He makes his threes. He plays for the team, and everyone talks shit about him all the time. And he doesn't say anything back. He just works and he wins. And after this particular win to prove that, by the way, Steph Curry never had to prove that he could win without Kevin Durant, because Steph Curry did that in 2015. Everyone always forgets about 2015, but Kevin Durant was not on that team. And so Steph Curry finally did it, shut down the haters, and it's like the pettiest and the most arrogant Curry has been in his entire life. And he's reached levels of Draymond Green that one can only aspire to be, and it's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. I'm here for petty Curry.
Yeah, he seems like such a calm person overall. Like there have been a couple times when he got into altercations, but it was never physical, right? Every time someone talked shit about him, he would always clap back on the court and just like destroy people. Like he's just amazing, and he's so inspiring when it comes to being a player and just everything.
If you look at the NBA Finals against the Celtics, Curry barely shot free throws, even though everyone was constantly fouling him when he was shooting. Whereas Curry would always have 3 or 4 fouls on him. The Celtics would be shooting every single free throw. Like, Curry does not get superstar calls. And no ref cares about him. He's a forgotten one. And so he's here. He's the greatest shooter of all time. He beat the 3-point record this year. He's won almost every single MVP except for regular MVP, but still, it's pretty awesome. And not only that, the Warriors won, and it felt like a team effort because Curry led the team, and I can pinpoint anything that each player had did to contribute at some point in the playoffs to help the Warriors win, and it's fantastic.
Right. And it feels like Steve Kerr is doing something right. Like, you know, there people have been injured in the past, and like we didn't have Clay for a while, and you know, it didn't seem like there was a full matchup. And then when we lost KD, it was just like, all right, well, what's gonna happen next? Are the Warriors done? Are they washed up forever? Like, no, of course. Like we did well even without him in the past. Like we didn't need KD.
Yeah,
he was just an extra thing that we added on. That
everyone forgets.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know the thing with Curry, Draymond, and Clay, they always say that Kerr lucked out because those 3 were drafted to the Warriors and they happened to turn out to be good. And it's very true. Kerr did luck out. But the development of every other player aside from those 3 is astonishing. Yeah. Like, if you look at Kevon Looney and Jordan Poole, and you're like, where did these people come from? Especially Jordan Poole.
Oh my God. He's in a prime position to become a really good shooter.
He should have been at least 3rd place for most improved player this year. The fact that he was not even in vote contention for best improved player. No one's Jordan Poole last year was like a typical really bad sophomore player. And he improved so much. So obviously you luck out when you have Curry, Draymond, and Clay, but the supporting team and the way that the Warriors and Kerr developed them, it works.
Yeah, I think
with Wiggins.
Oh yeah, Wiggins we can't forget about Andrew Wiggins. He's
the end.
Unsung hero. Unsung hero. Shout out to Andrew Wiggins. Oh my God, he carried that last game. Shout out to Andrew Wiggins. He carried that last game for sure.
If you need proof that the Warriors has a good development team, it's Wiggins. Oh my God. I can't, there's no words.
I feel like the Warriors and Kerr, they take the players, look at their raw talent, and kind of just utilize that. They work with them. They work on things that they're not good at. They work on things that they are good at. And that's just how it's just so simple, right? You just do that, and then you have a good team, and everyone's like, oh yeah, the Warriors are good because they have these superstars. Well, they weren't superstars. They were developed into superstars. They have raw talent, sure. And that's part of it. like just having talent in itself is good, but if you don't work as a team and you just keep shooting like 3-pointers and you miss, then the team's not going to back you up because they don't know how to rebound. But the Warriors do, and they have, and they've shown that.
Exactly. Like the Celtics, on paper, the taller team, the team with a longer wingspan, with longer arms, the best defense in the NBA. Record-wise, the Celtics were better than us. So, obviously, more people thought that the Celtics were going to win against us, which is like, if you're basing it off of the statistics and what the records were, that's fine, because that's what the proof of the paper was. But the way that Kerr made these adjustments, especially with Wiggins, especially with Looney, to make sure that we put the Celtics offense on lock is just impressive. And there's just so much that was done to adjust to all of these teams, like the Grizzlies, like everyone that we played against.
Yeah.
And
also,
like
the Celtics are younger. They're a younger team too, like age-wise, the players.
If you look at the Celtics and the way that they've been developed, because they're also a team that was developed through the draft mostly, and very much mirrors the Warriors in some ways, but they are definitely the younger team. And aside from just good coaching, it's experience too. Because if you've just done this so many times, and even though Andre Iguodala was injured, he was on the sidelines giving advice to everyone. It's just like, this was not their first rodeo, and they figured them out. It was simple as that.
Well, to kind of continue doing that, I do want to mention that. So for things that I'm playing, I've talked in the past about Valorant and how I've kind of been like indifferent about the game. But recently I've been finding more of a love for the game. One of my really good friends, he actually was a guest on the podcast. His handle is DJB, but his real name is Daniel, and he's a seasoned Valorant player. He hosts a lot of tournaments, like just privately on his stream. I guess not really technically privately, but like they do custom matches is what I'm trying to say. So he put together 2 different tournaments, one for the OCE region, so like Australia, parts of Asia, and they did that earlier this year, and now they are in the midst of doing a like NA tournament, like North America tournament, with like some guest teams from like Australia and here and there, but it's mostly teams from the United States. My team, we actually played last Friday. We advanced, so we're gonna do round 2 this coming Saturday. As of the recording of this podcast, it'll be this Saturday, June 25th at 3 p.m. Pacific time.
Ooh.
Last Friday, we were definitely compared to the Warriors because of the recent win, the recent championship, but also because of just the way that we have really good synergy. Like, for those that aren't aware, Valorant is like a 5v5 game. There's attackers and defenders, much like Counter-Strike. And the thing that makes it different is that every character has powers. So think of like Overwatch meets Counter-Strike. That's the best way to describe it. And yeah, I did really well, so well to the point that people were calling me the Steph Curry of my team, which is very flattering.
Hey.
Right, yeah, it's very flattering, but it does put a lot of pressure on someone. So there's a lot to live up to when we come face to face against this next team. They're like really good. Like they have a couple of really, really good players. So we definitely have to watch out. We've been practicing a lot. Prior to the recording of this podcast, I was telling Alyssa that I was practicing with my team, and once we finish recording here, I'm gonna go back and play with them again, and hopefully, continue to practice more. But yeah, so that's been happening. I recently streamed and finished this game called Stranglehold. It is a sequel to a 1992 John Woo Hong Kong action film called Hard Boiled. It is an interesting game. It is a very short game.
Wait a minute. Hard Boiled?
Yeah,
really?
yeah, exactly. A 1992 movies sequel, which is a video game. So it was like John Woo's first foray into video games, and it's something. It's not perfect. It's fun. It's clunky. It definitely feels like a movie at times. It's very cheesy, but I had a great time playing it. It was interesting.
That's so funny, because I've seen Okay, for context of people, isn't Hard Boiled about kind of like this guy who's like a gangster and he has to take care of a kid?
No. Actually, well, there's a kid in it. He's not a gangster. He's a cop. He's like a... Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime John Woo casts Chow Yun-fat, who also plays his character from the movie in the game, he always makes him like a good cop in a way. But I think there's some exceptions. I have to go back and look at the filmography. But from what I remember in Hard Boiled, Chow Yun-fat plays a good cop. I have to watch it again, but I remember there was a kid involved and he had to like save a kid in like a hospital or something. That was interesting.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, there's a whole hospital. The hospital gunfight is like the most famous scene in all of Hong Kong cinema. I could be exaggerating there, but a lot of people in the West know it as such.
The thing is, Hard Boiled has like some of Hong Kong's greatest actors.
Yes.
It has Chow Yun-fat, has John Woo even in it. I think it has God, what is his name? I think it has Tony Leung.
I think so. I think so.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a couple Japanese actors in the beginning of the movie as well, because there's a whole shootout in a tea house. That's like a very iconic scene as well. Like the very beginning shootout is crazy. But yeah, so the game is a sequel. It's a 2007 title that was released on Windows and Xbox and PS3, Xbox 360 to be specific. And it's cool. It's a cool game. I was digging it. It's fun. There's like slow-mo. There's all these really cool things about the game that definitely make it unique, and it definitely borrowed a lot of things, and I felt like some things that made it better. There was a charity stream that my friends put on this past Saturday where we played a plethora of different games, mostly horror related. We played Outlast the Forest, Dead by Daylight, of course. And for my section of the stream, I played Viscera Cleanup Detail, which is it's a game. It's an interesting game concept. It's imagine in Halo when Master Chief goes through a hallway and kills all the aliens, right? He kills all the Covenant, he kills all the elites, and just basically everything. He goes through the hallway, murders it. You play the team that cleans up after the main character goes through. So there's references to Doom, there's references to Quake, there's references to movies even. There's a whole level that's based on The Thing, the movie The Thing. So it's all about just cleaning up. It's kind of cathartic because there's like a score you get at the end of each level. There's several levels, and the one that we played was a haunted house related level where the house. Yeah, I guess the house is haunted, but also it was more like referencing horror movies, slasher films. So there was like Jason's Mask, there was there's like Freddy's Claw, there's like all these things in the house that were referencing all these iconic horror movies, and it was our job to clean up the house. There was like all these dead bodies everywhere, and it was a fun game. It's really cool. I think it's only on Windows. I could be mistaken, but yeah, we played that. We played all these games, and we raised around $500 for charity. So that was really awesome.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, so that's about it. That's all I've been playing. What about you, Alyssa?
So, since we last talked, I finished the Kaito files. Nice. I have that podcast ready to go. Will be released eventually. I finished... Or not finished. I'm about 2/3 of the way through Fire Emblem Three Houses. And God, that game's so good. It's so good. I love this game so much. And I'm definitely getting in the groove of what I'm supposed to do now, where I was like, who do I recruit? I don't know what I'm doing. What gifts am I doing? Who do I give tea to? And when I say tea, I mean like actual tea, not like gossip tea.
Yeah.
Because you increase your relationship and respect with someone by giving them tea.
Got it.
And I finally found my footing in this game, and I love it so much. It's just I honestly like one of my favorite RPGs. Definitely I've played on the Switch for sure.
Got it.
And then I'm finally playing Deathloop. My PlayStation is unwrapped, which I think I talked about. I'm playing Deathloop, and it's such a fabulous time. And I'll have more details for sure after I finish the game. But I feel like I'm like maybe halfway through the game already. And I've just been constantly playing it without like looking at time. Like I'll just play it at night, and then I'll realize, fuck, I've put like 4 hours into this.
Wow. Means you're having fun.
I'm having so much fun with this game. It's such a good it's such a good game. I'm really enjoying playing with all of these characters so far. And yeah, this is just it's such a good time.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. And that's pretty much all I've been playing. Just those two games. And The Sims. And Animal Crossing. And Stardew Valley. Those three never change.
Those three will never go away. Honestly, they're endless games. You can play those games forever.
They're endless games. They're going to be played forever.
Yep.
So...
Well, thank you. Thank you for letting us know. I can't wait to hear more about Deathloop. I'm excited because I've been on the fence about that game. Everyone's been giving it interesting reviews, but regardless of review or not, I'm still going to probably buy it and play it myself.
Oh, it is a great game. I think this is a great intro game to the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah. Like, this is a fantastic first game to play that's new also, that doesn't depend on a franchise.
Right.
And it's by Bethesda.
Right. Then they're...
And Arcane.
Right. We're gonna talk about Bethesda soon. Yeah.
It's gonna be a good time.
Oh, yeah. So why don't we go into news then?
Yes, oh my god, we got a lot of news to talk about. Can I start with this news first?
Sure.
I want to talk about Giant Bomb, which is a gaming journalism website.
Okay.
So... Giant Bomb is one of the few gaming journalism websites that I still kind of follow regularly.
Mm-hmm.
But as of the beginning of June, about June 5th, June 6th, June 7th, the final founding member of Giant Bomb left, which his name is Jeff Gerstmann.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was one of the core founders of Giant Bomb, and that was kind of like very much like one of the last people who, and also he was like, arguably people would say like he's the founder. And a lot of people would say that he's like one of the biggest names in Giant Bomb. And so it's his prerogative to leave. But what happened was it was just announced by Giant Bomb that he left.
Oh.
And they didn't give him, because what happened with a lot of other people, such as like Vinny and Alex, like, like a lot of people who have left Giant Bomb is they're very much given a farewell week of leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see them off and, like make their final podcasts, make their final videos and all of these things.
Kind of like a courtesy or kind of just like a, yeah.
Exactly. And the weird thing was this guy who's clearly like at founder level was not given a proper goodbye.
Man.
And it was really weird. And a lot of people were, were confused and disappointed, especially because he's like just one of the main founders. So like there's obviously like a lot of speculation, but really like at its core, it's the company that owns Giant Bomb probably didn't let people give him a goodbye. Which sucks.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I know. Giant Bomb is owned by another media company called Red Ventures. And they just straight up shafted Jeff Gerstmann.
Oh, man.
And it was kind of disappointing because I'm a fan and I would have expected him to have like one last episode of the Bombcast. Mm-hmm. And, just like, shoot the shit, all of these different things. And he straight up didn't have a goodbye week. And it was just really, it was really weird too, because I actually really like the current cast of Giant Bomb too. Like the new cast. I think the new cast is really good. And there's a lot of people that I really enjoy. And one of my favorites, his name's Jan. The way that he was talking very much read like Red Ventures didn't allow him to speak about Jeff. Like, and so it was just kind of such a shitty goodbye that like they didn't allow the cast to even say goodbye.
That's so sad.
And I, obviously like there's going to be speculation for forever of people wondering why they did this to Jeff. And, it's just unfortunate that they had to say goodbye this way and that Red Ventures was doing this. And the thing is, I wish both Jeff Gerstmann success in his new Twitch career and his Patreon career. And of course, I wish the current Giant Bomb a lot in their career, because I think that this like current group is like really good. Like they're pretty fucking funny. So yeah, I'm looking forward to just all of them. It was an awkward ending. I don't blame any of them. I blame Red Ventures, who owns Giant Bomb now. Yeah. But yeah, that hit a chord with me, because it's one thing for Jeff to say goodbye, because I was really sad when like a lot of core people like Vinny and Alex said goodbye. But they got goodbye weeks,
right,
Jeremy.
Right.
They were able to speak on the Beastcast, and like they had goodbyes, and it just like Jeff not getting a goodbye was weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was awkward for everyone, but you know, it is what it is, and we just got to move forward at this point.
Right. It's all company politics. It's all just like corporate structure, and you know,
unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And even though we might not like it, that's just how it is. And at least the fans can still say goodbye to him on his personal Twitch. You know, that's more important to me than him saying goodbye on the podcast. But of course, him saying goodbye on the thing that he started is huge, right? You know, like
exactly.
Yeah, and like obviously the fans notice, you notice, so it's just like it's weird. And I agree with you. I feel like there's something is missing, and that's so sad.
I know. Such corporate bullshit.
For real.
It's unfortunate.
We've had too much of that in our lives.
I know. Way too much.
Yeah.
And for anyone who didn't know, Giant Bomb is a Bay Area company. It started off as a Bay Area company such as IGN and GameSpot. In fact, majority of gaming journalism companies arguably are from the Bay Area.
Which is interesting if you think about it.
Yeah.
Right. Like the Bay Area is not
exciting.
really known for video games, but then again we are, because we also have like Double Fine and all these other indie studios. PlayStation is headquartered in the Bay Area.
2K.
Right, 2K. Okay, see, now that I'm talking about it out loud, now I'm just like, wait,
EA.
actually it does make sense.
Ubisoft.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. And Sega used to be out here in San Francisco, and that's the whole reason why Sonic Adventure 2 had a whole like San Francisco looking level as its first level.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that does make sense now that I think about it. But maybe because all these companies aren't loud about their presence in SF, I was just like...
They're not.
Right.
They're definitely not.
Right. Like, I guess in general, video game companies aren't loud, but then again, a lot of them have been in the news, like Ubisoft and Riot and Activision, because of all these scandals that have been happening. That's a different story.
Oh, yeah.
It's something we've already covered, but like, yeah, I just feel like San Francisco is kind of, or the Bay Area in general is kind of like that...
Underrated.
Yeah, and like another one in San Rafael was the company went under. What was it called?
Telltale.
Yeah, that's right. That was a huge one.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess maybe there was like the whole .com boom, and all these like tech companies became and game companies just became entities up here, and I guess that kind of makes sense.
True.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad, and I hope that the fans of Giant Bomb gather together and find a way to honor his legacy somehow.
Yes. And like, he's on Twitch now, so if you are a person who likes the older cast and you're kind of done with Giant Bomb because older cast left, they're all on Twitch, or like such as Nextlander. They all have their own new Patreons and podcasts that you can follow. Mm-hmm. And if you're just kind of, you don't care who you follow as long as they're good, the Giant Bomb cast is still there, the new one.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. And that's all I have to say about the Giant Bomb.
Cool. Can we talk about the showcases real quick? There's a lot to go through. I don't want to talk about every single thing in detail.
I need to talk about Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Resident Evil, but real quick, we'll go through the Sony one first. And so these are the major things that I think you and I are probably gonna be interested in. I think if I missed anything, please let me know. So there was Resident Evil 4 Remake, Spider-Man Remastered. There's a huge Horizon Forbidden West
doesn't need to be
update.
Remastered, by the way. I'm sorry. I just have to look. I'm pretty sure Spider-Man is one of the newer. I don't remember if it's PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 4 and 4. Okay, yeah. Come on, people. This is a PlayStation 4 game. What is going to be remastered?
Honestly,
tell me, Jeremy.
It looks beautiful.
What's going to be remastered?
It already looks on the PS4, on the stock base PS4. It looks beautiful.
What is going to be remastered? Tell me.
Just frame rate. But then again, like, okay, sure. That's cool.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, when I saw that, I was like, really? Like, Last of Us makes sense. Not Spider-Man. Spider-Man's too new. Yeah. They could have just said, well, we're re-releasing it, not necessarily remaster. I don't know.
Yeah.
Re-releasing makes more sense. Like, they didn't remaster Ghost of Tsushima. They just made it with a better frame rate. Like, Ghost of Tsushima is beautiful on PS4.
It is. Oh fuck! It's so
I know.
gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's such a fantastic game.
It's so good.
So Horizon Forbidden West update, Horizon Call of the Mountain for PSVR, the Callisto Protocol, which is an interesting game. Roller Dome.
I gotta say, the stuff for PSVR 2 does look cool. I don't know if I'm gonna get VR 2, but they do look interesting. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it looks fascinating. If I got a PS5, I don't think I would invest in a VR 2 simply because of the limitations of what you can play. But then that's just me, you know.
Yeah.
Roller Dome Revealed looked interesting. It was like a cel-shaded third-person shooter. Eternites was interesting. Final Fantasy 16, Street Fighter 6, and
Final
Stray.
Fantasy 16.
Stray looks cool because you play as a little cat. But let's talk about Final Fantasy 16. I know you're a big Final Fantasy fan.
Dude, I'm excited for Final Fantasy 16 to go back to medieval influence.
No, you don't want the car?
To be fair, I had no problems with 15 except for the fact that it was really short. I was like, how is this Final Fantasy only 25 hours? This is weird.
Yeah.
It was very much this can't be it.
Right. It needed to be at least 100 hours or more.
Yeah, exactly. There could have been more for sure added to the main plot.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I like when Final Fantasy 16 is based during kind of a more Renaissance medieval influence and lore. I think that's a very cool era. And, you know, I like a lot of the modern Final Fantasies and their placing, such as like 8 and 7, for example, are good. But I like the ones like 9 and 12 and 6 that are definitely much more like 1500s, that type of thing. It creates a different type of narrative and story that I enjoy, and I'm looking forward to what Final Fantasy 16 has to offer. And I was shocked when they said it was coming out in summer of 2023. It's going to be fall of 2023.
Wow.
In fact, it's probably going to be winter of 2024. Either way, I was like, that's soon. I was like, that is way too soon. What is happening right now?
Is Nomura on this project?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because when I was...
Yeah.
I might have to do a quick fact check, but I don't think it is.
I feel like he's busy working on the next iteration of Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
But I don't know. I don't really follow Square Enix that much.
Okay, it's from the Final Fantasy 14 producer Yoshida Naoki and then director Takai Hiroshi.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
Okay. All right, that's cool.
All of the monsters and creatures look amazing. I like all the beasts that were introduced in that teaser. I hope they're all there. I'm just excited for all of this. I think it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but the original Final Fantasy games had more of an medieval aesthetic as well, right? Or am I tripping?
Definitely like the older
right,
ones.
like the first generation in the 80s and 90s, yeah. So they're kind of going back to the roots in that sense, which is I'm all for, because like Elden Ring was really good and it had a medieval style of aesthetic, and so that'd be cool to continue that with Final Fantasy, because I feel like Final Fantasy has been dipping in the modern times and maybe more retro futuristic and futuristic style, which is I love too, but kind of seeing,
don't get me wrong,
right, like seeing dragons and stuff is really cool as well.
Yeah, I like dragons. This one looks like it's gonna focus more on being magical, which I appreciate as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited.
Yeah, I am on the other side of that. I'm excited for Stray because it looks like a really cute game where you play as a cat in this futuristic Neo Tokyo-esque kind of vibe. And then Resident Evil 4 Remake I'm really excited about because I love Resident Evil 4. Yeah, everybody, like, that was the game that introduced over-the-shoulder camera for a lot of different games. It inspired so much for the third-person genre of action games. And, it paved the way for the rest of the Resident Evil franchise to be like that until 7, when it became, like, first-person. And everyone loved it because, like, it kind of was more immersive, which I agree to. But for a lot of people, the more recent Resident Evil Remake titles are things that everyone's kind of looking at, and hoping for the narrative to kind of be rewritten in a way for future games, and it looks like it's being that way. They're all remakes and they're all kind of reboots in a sense because the character models are different and the voice actors are all different. As I mentioned, Resident Evil 4 is beloved, so I know that Capcom is doing everything in their power to make this right and make it look cool. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I hope that the remake is awesome. I'm definitely going to be buying it. I still need to buy and play the other remakes. So that's awesome. Anything else you want to talk about the Sony State of Play?
How do you feel about the new remake for The Last of Us, which is now being rebranded as The Last of Us Part 1, and how they up-res the graphics?
I played it briefly on PS3, and then I played it fully on PS4, so I don't know. I don't really care too much about it. I am happy that they're putting it on a console that has and on PC as well, right, for like a new audience to enjoy. But I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent towards it. What about you?
I'm honestly really impressed by the upres. I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty good for how they're upresing all the characters for PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are torn on the new looks of everyone, because obviously when you make something more high definition, you see more quality in their face, and people don't necessarily like that sometimes. But I think this looks really good.
Okay.
And I like a lot of the new like shadowing that they have on the characters, and just the rendering is very much improved on everyone. The one thing is they make Joel look a lot older, which is funny with the new upres.
Interesting.
It's like with the new remake, Joel legit looks like he's like 55 going on 60.
Oh wow.
In my opinion. Whereas the Joel from PlayStation 3 honestly looks like he's about 35, 40, which is kind of what you're supposed to assume he is.
Right.
But this new one looks like George Clooney. So
okay, I see. I didn't look at the trailer too much. My comments are mainly based on the fact that it is being remade. But I have
for sure.
I will have no quarrels with the graphics. I think they're going to be beautiful anyways.
Yeah, I think it looks. I think that the new graphics for the Part 1 remake for PlayStation 5 look really good.
Nice.
I am impressed.
That is a remake, Spider-Man.
That is a real remake. They look so different.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch the trailer after we finish this podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's talk about Xbox real quick.
Yes, let's talk about Xbox.
So it was called the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase. They talked about Redfall, which looked like an interesting kind of like vampire-esque Left 4 Dead shooter. There's Hollow Knight, Silksong, High on Life, A Plague Tale Requiem, Forza Motorsport. Microsoft Flight Sim has a 40th anniversary celebration going on where you can fly the Pelican from the Halo series, which I thought was a nice touch. Overwatch 2 got some love. Aura History Untold, Arc 2, starring Vin Diesel, which was more interesting to look at. A lot of deep breathing and grunting, which was weird. Scorn, Flintlock, Siege of Dawn, Persona on PC, which is really cool, and Starfield. So I'm really hyped about Persona because I don't have to buy it on PlayStation anymore.
As you should be.
Yeah.
As you should be.
I'm gonna buy it on PC so I can play it on my nice PC instead of having to play it on my old PS4. Nothing wrong with the PS4. It's just that I'd rather play it on something that it's meant to be played on from like a graphics perspective so I can get the best quality experience of it,
And I'm so happy that one of the games is Persona 4 Golden. It is one of my favorite just games in life. And I'm glad that more people get to play that game. I played that game 3 times.
Wow.
Which means that I've spent 300 hours on
well, that means
Persona 4 Golden. And it was because I wanted to get every single relationship locked at some point.
That just means I have to play it and then let you know how it is.
It's such a great storyline.
Yeah.
Well, and also I'm glad more people get to play Persona 3. That's such a good one as well.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people don't talk about Persona 3. They only talk about 4 and 5 and that's about it.
Persona 3 is just one of the older ones that came on PlayStation 2 or 3. I don't remember
cool.
which one it was, but it's just simply one of the older ones. And so at this point it's like definitely forgotten about. But arguably, like, the second best soundtrack of the Persona franchise.
Awesome.
So
yeah, I'm excited to play it because everyone talks so much about it. One of my friends who's a streamer, her entire streaming layout is based on Persona. Like it's all inspired by Persona. So
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so I'm really excited to see what the hype is about. I'm long overdue to play it, as with a lot of games, but you're never late to the party. Yeah, you know, like the fact that they're re-releasing it on PC is even, like you said, it's even better that a lot of audiences get to play it for the first time, myself included.
Exactly.
And Starfield looks interesting. It's been getting a lot of mixed criticism because it just looks like Skyrim in space, and a lot of people are kind of mad or indifferent about it. I myself I'm excited to play it because I like the sci-fi vibe, and Bethesda usually makes really good quality IP. So yeah, I'm hyped for Starfield. It looks fun.
It does look cool.
But yeah, for the most part, Forza Motorsport looks interesting. Arc 2, I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that game, since it is, it's got a Hollywood star attached to it, whereas the first game was kind of just like dinosaurs, dragons, open world, survive. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. What about you? Anything else that stood out to you in the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase?
No, not so much, just because I don't play Xbox. A lot of the announcements to me just kind of seem expected. They all look cool, such as the Starfield. I really like the art style on that. That looks cool. But definitely the one that I was happy about was just the fact that Persona is more accessible to everyone.
Right. Cool. And there was also a Capcom showcase that happened. I caught some of it. It was a lot of Resident Evil updates and more talk about Resident Evil 4 Remake. And a bunch of other things. So I apologize if I didn't say exactly what happened during that showcase. But yeah, it looks cool.
Yes.
All right.
One thing I wanted to look up was PlayStation VR 2 price. I was just curious how much it was.
Okay.
$399.
Oh.
That's actually, is that cheaper than what I was expecting for PlayStation VR? Maybe about what I was expecting for the PlayStation VR. That's definitely cheaper, I think, than Oculus. Although, actually, I think Oculus is cheaper now that they came out with the new version of it.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's a lot cheaper.
The nice thing about Oculus is that you don't have to plug it into anything. It's got its own little dedicated system inside the set, which is really cool.
Yes. It's nice. You can, even though playthrough is only 2 hours, it's like, honestly, 2 hours is, you can only handle so much playing VR at a time.
I see. Cool. So as of the recording of this podcast, we actually got one question in at the very last minute, about 2 minutes ago, and it's by PJ Sucks on our Discord. Thank you, PJ. And PJ asks, yeah, I'm not kidding. PJ asks, did you watch Top Gun Maverick? What did you think, and what blockbusters are you looking forward to? Did you watch Top Gun Maverick, Alyssa?
I've seen Top Gun Maverick 2 times.
Oh, okay. Well, that answers that. I also watched it in theaters the weekend it came out.
I saw it once in standard, and I saw it the next time in IMAX.
Wow. Okay. I want to start by saying I did enjoy it. There were some parts where some of my friends did cry. Some of them are in the military, so it definitely hit a lot harder for them. I really liked the movie. I watched the first one a couple years ago for the first time. So the memory of that movie was kind of fresh in my mind. I really liked it. It was a good action film. The cinematography in particular for me was really beautiful. In the cockpit shots, just like shots of the planes flying by, like they just did a really good job, and that was so cool to see.
Are you aware that all of that is real too?
Like,
majority of the movie is not CG, if any.
Right.
I don't even think there's that much CG.
Like they had to train the actors to actually fly the planes too, which I thought was fascinating.
Which is crazy that the actors were flying in the second seat while the naval and Air Force pilots were flying in the first seat.
Wow.
That was crazy.
Right.
I watched so many videos on it.
That's wild.
This is honestly one of the best action movies I think I've seen in a long time.
It was fantastic. It was so fun.
It was exactly what you expect in an action blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
It also, I think, was a very good remake. It's one of the, Jeremy, I hate remakes. you know this.
Yeah.
You know how much I hate remakes, and you know how much I hate nostalgia. But this is one of the most well done remakes I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it just lived up to so much hype. Funny enough, I'm really happy that this got released in theaters, or else I don't think we'd all be appreciating it like it is right now.
Oh, well, to be clarified, it's not a remake, it's a sequel to the original movie.
Or sequel, yeah. Sequel,
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I hate sequels too.
Yeah.
Unless it's intentional.
I get that.
Like,
yeah.
I was nervous about this one because I was like, 30-year-old and
Right.
30-year-old sequel. Good God. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it ended up being fantastic.
I agree. It was a fun movie, and I can't wait to see where they go next. If they do make a sequel, it better be good. You know, like I just want it to be good.
I agree.
And to answer the second part of your question, PJ, movies that I'm looking forward to seeing, I'm kind of okay about Lightyear. I might just wait for that to go on Disney Plus. I heard the Elvis movie was all right. I really want to see Thor: Love and Thunder. I want to watch Bullet Train. Bullet Train is a movie about Brad Pitt, and he's like in Japan on a bullet train going from Tokyo to Kyoto, and he's like fighting all these bad guys. And then there's the Jordan Peele movie Nope about aliens, like invading this part of California. So
yeah.
That's gonna be cool. There's Easter Sunday, which is a movie by Filipino American comedian Joe Coy, that takes place in Daly City, which is adjacent to where I live. Pinocchio's getting a remake, which seems interesting. There's Hocus Pocus 2. Well, I guess some of these movies don't really count as Hollywood. Well, I guess they are Hollywood movies. I was thinking of movies that were released in theaters, but a lot of Disney Plus movies definitely get the Hollywood treatment in a way.
Yes.
So yeah, Black Adam looks interesting. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. There's a Disney movie called Strange World that's coming out that kind of has like a classic 1930s vibe, but like in space. Disenchanted, which is a sequel to Enchanted. I'm curious to see what the Avatar movie is going to be like. There's a sequel to Shazam called Shazam: Fury of the Gods. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of other movies coming out that are going to be interesting to watch.
I'll tell you what I'm not excited for, Jeremy.
What's that?
I'm not excited for that new Jurassic World movie that came out.
Did you watch it?
No. The unfortunate thing is I legit really like the Jurassic Park series. So I feel like I'm going to eventually see it just so I can finish this off. But I'm not excited to watch it because I think I've talked to you about this before. I, in general, think that the Jurassic World series was like fine. I actually like Jurassic World 1 as just like this is fine. Like it's not as good as Jurassic Park, but I like how they incorporated the world. And then I told you before that the second half of Jurassic World 2 was like, what am I watching right now? This is a complete shift in everything that I was expecting this movie to be.
Exact same thoughts I have. The first half of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom are fantastic. When they go to the island, they try to rescue dinosaurs, and it's like, wow, this is fucking cool. And the second part of it is like, why are you paying $5 million for a dinosaur? That's easily $5 billion. Like, what the fuck is this?
Where did this come from?
Right.
I don't know.
So, Alyssa, my brother and I are huge Jurassic Park fans. We love the series.
Yes.
We are indifferent about the first Jurassic World. We enjoy it as a standalone, and we're like, okay, like this is cool. We tried watching Camp Cretaceous on Netflix. We couldn't get past the second season. We tried we forced ourselves to watch the first and second seasons, and we're just like, this is so frustrating. Fallen Kingdom, we absolutely just were not happy about. And so recently, we went to the theater. We watched Jurassic World Dominion. I don't know. Do you want me to keep going? I'm not going to spoil anything about the story for you, but
All you gotta say, Jeremy.
Yeah.
All you gotta say is yes or no.
No. Big fat no. Big fat why and big fat no. There are people that are defending this movie, and all I can think about is why? If you really watch the movie and think about it logically, you're like, okay, this is why? Prior to that, we watched The Secrets of Dumbledore, the Fantastic Beasts movie. It was also not very good, and there was a whole thing about Catherine Waterston, her character Porpatino, had a reduced role in the movie because she was outspoken against J.K. Rowling's thoughts about trans people. She was she really didn't like that J.K. Rowling said those nasty things about trans people, and so she was very outspoken on Instagram and made all these posts on Twitter, and so J.K. Rowling's I'm going to reduce your role in the next movie. So cut to Jurassic World Dominion. The character, the Velociraptor Blue, is not in the movie that much, and after the movie I turned to my brother and I was like, yeah, the Blue wasn't in the movie because Blue said some things on Twitter about the director. So we were both laughing about that.
Oh my god.
Right. And so it's true, Blue does have a reduced role in the movie, and I honestly, the whole plot is so fucking stupid, and the fact that they just shove all these characters that have connections to the characters in the original movies off screen is just it just makes me mad. It's such a disservice to the original legacy. So
agreed.
I was not a fan. I'm not a fan of Jurassic World Dominion. I hope you do watch it one day, Alyssa, and just let me know your honest thoughts, because
I'll watch it on streaming.
just wait. My parents watched it the same day my brother and I did, and then they were like, "Yeah, that was a movie," and I was like, "Man,
that was a movie."
It was just so sad. And there was even a meta joke too. I'm not gonna say what the meta joke is because it kind of gives something away. But my brother and I were chuckling so hard because we agreed with what that character said. And when it happens, you'll know, Alyssa. And then if you didn't catch it, I'll be like, okay, remember when this character said that?
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, not a fan, unfortunately. I mean, I'm waiting for a good Jurassic Park video game, Jurassic World video game that's not a park building simulator. I do love the Jurassic World Evolution franchise, but I want to play a game where I'm hiding from velociraptors or stuck on the island or something,
yeah,
not something where where you have to build Jurassic Park. Yeah, that's cool, but it'd be cool to be on the ground and do all these cool things.
Yes,
that's my rant.
Makes sense.
Rant over.
Yeah. Dude, I get it.
Thanks.
I'm scared to watch it, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of disappointing things in that movie. But as long as you have a good time and just as long as you turn your brain off and try to look past the things that you love, then maybe you'll have a good time. But for my brother and I, we just love the characters so much. The original characters, we're just damn, wow, what's going on here? Anyways. Yeah, there you go, PJ. Thanks for submitting your question and comment, or just mostly question. Yeah. So, if you guys want to submit a comment or question that way, look in the description of this video, wherever this podcast is hosted. Not necessarily video, audio file, and you can find where you can find a link to our Discord server, and we talk about everything from video games and movies to TV shows, music. All that stuff. Submit a question in our hashtag podcast questions channel, and we'll respond to it on the podcast. You can also find us at Downtime.Live, www.Downtime.Live, and you can click on the submit a question form, and it'll take you directly to an email, and you can just fill out that little form and send us a question that way. You can also send us an email the old-fashioned way. It's it's contact@Downtime.Live. I'm rusty.
Yes.
Contact.
No, you're good. You're good.
I saved myself. Contact@Downtime.Live. Check that out. If you want to leave us a comment or question wherever this podcast is hosted that allows comments or questions, we will read them on the podcast. There's also a review you can leave us on Apple Podcasts, and we'll read that as well. I think that's covered. That covered everything, right? I hope so.
Yes, that did.
Sweet. All right. Well. That's it. Alyssa, anything else you want to talk about before we end the podcast today?
no, I think that's all. Yeah.
Sweet. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to Downtime Podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.